What's good, FPL community? My name is Craig. Welcome to FPL Expectations, your new FPL channel on YouTube. Most of you are wondering, who is Craig? Why he started this? Just to give you a little brief introduction about myself. I'm a football pundit here in Malaysia. I'm originally from the UK. And I kind of decided to do this over the lockdown. There was a period where there was no live football. A lot of free time on my hands, like I'm sure some of you have experienced. And, got my creative juices flowing. One thing that I really, truly, madly love is FPL. And if you ask my girlfriend, she says I'm obsessed with it. Yeah, she might be right. But I've been playing for a long time now. Not the best player in the world, no, by any stretch of the imaginations, which is why I had to call reinforcements to help me boost this channel up. This will be the channel to get your insights, your FPL tips, who to captain, who to transfer in, who to transfer out. Everything will be here. And I aim to get about 2 to 3 videos out a week. And if this goes well, who knows? Let's see where this goes. But as I said, I've got reinforcements, I've got backup, and I've got 2 of them with me here tonight. It'll be Zhou and Surya. Zhou and Surya, how you doing?
Hey, Craig. I'm doing good.
Yeah, great.
So really excited for the new season of FPL, and already I'm on my 25th draft, so it's going good so far.
25th, that means you haven't really got into it yet.
Yeah.
And Zhou, welcome to FPL Expectations.
Good to be here. It's my first time doing something like this, but it's an honor to be here.
Yeah, and some of you wondering about the name FPL Expectations, thinking that I might have spelled expectations wrong. You're wrong. I'm right. What I've decided to do is to give an Asian feel to this channel. So most of us are based in Asia, and along with Zhou and Surya, there'll be Selfie and James. Selfie, I'm sure you'll know for all you FPL lovers out there on Twitter as Philosophy. And as you can see, Zhou and Surya's all about FPL and Zhou FPL. I'm sure those are accounts that you boys follow, but if you're not following it, do go onto Twitter, follow them now, and get the best insights, advice, and everything related to FPL on there. Right, we're going to go straight into it. And we're going to talk about last season's performance. Now, last season was a bit of a strange one. I'm sure both of you would agree with me. That whole COVID break, the whole stoppage in it, and it left us players wondering, is this season going to continue? Do we have to look forward to next season? And then suddenly we get hit with it, bang, okay, the season's going to start. You're going to have 9 games or so over, a 3-week period. It was fantastic for us football watchers. But for us FPL managers, it was a little bit of a nightmare. Talk us through your season post-lockdown, Surya.
Yeah, so my season was, to be frank and honest, was a disaster before the lockdown. So I was languishing around the 500k rank. And so when the season was announced that it's starting back, I was so excited. So as you said, it was a nightmare for FPL managers and content creators like me. So I managed my team and my page as well. But I could do a 400k rank jump, and I could reach towards the close to, I wanted a top 100k finish, but then I finished around 104k, not a great rank, but then it was a very fun ride. It was different from the normal FPL timeline. So there was games coming thick and through, the break between each game week close to 18 hours to 24 hours to 36 hours. That's how tightly packed the game weeks were. So it was a very fun ride the last 8 game weeks or so, with that double game week coming, the free hit happening. So it was a great end to the season. And also the gap between the end and the start of the new season is pretty less. So once again, we are here tinkering our teams for the next season. So that's how my post-lockdown went ahead. So I had a 400k jump wherein I finished around 104k. So not a great rank, but it was a fun ride, to be honest. Yeah. So that was with me. Right? Yeah.
400k jump is quite a jump, to be fair, over 9 game weeks. So congratulations on that. And I'm sure the target was obviously to break into the top 100, like just before
exactly.
Narrowly just missed out. But obviously, like all seasons, we've got the next season to look forward to. Zhou, just talk us through yours.
Like we said, the COVID hit everyone pretty hard, and I remember, everyone was just saying, FPL is only a game, COVID, it's like everything's on a standstill. Most of the players probably wouldn't mind it being postponed or even cancelled because there are things bigger than FPL.
Yeah.
But I mean, the community came together, and we kept each other company, and there were even the championship manager FPL.
Chapman. Yeah.
Chapman.
And live. Yeah, live FPL.net. Yeah, the virtual FPL.
Yeah,
exactly.
and the virtual FPL that really actually kept me going. In a way, it kept my thoughts flowing. Who is? I mean, it's only a virtual, but still, it keeps the interest going. And when the FPL came back, I was ready to go. And I decided I think the virtual FPL gave me an insight to just do something different, not just always play
In terms of
safe.
changing your strategy.
Yeah. Because firstly it's virtual FPL, so I just I just do whatever I like. But when the actual FPL actually came back, I sort of brought a bit of that attitude to the game. So I did things that I never thought I would, like benching Jimenez, benching Pulisic, selling Salah after his 18-point haul.
And getting Sterling. And getting Sterling for him. And getting Sterling for him. Yeah.
And getting Sterling and captaining Sterling on his hat trick. That was like the cherry on the cake.
Yeah, exactly. So that's where I just thought in a top 100K. I decided not to bring in Sterling and persisted with Salah, and that was the end of my season.
I mean, that was quite a memorable game week actually, because you had Sterling, who obviously got 3 goals. You had Antonio at 4, if I remember correctly. And then I think it was Troy Deeney got a couple. And one of my mates actually had all 3 of them. So massive point for him. And obviously Captain Sterling on that. So I mean, there were a few out there who really benefited from that. It was one of those seasons which it was a bit of a it was a weird season. I mean, you wouldn't expect someone like Antonio scoring 4 goals in any other season, and you see people, I think, come off the back of this whole lockdown. Some came into a purple patch. Someone like Mason Greenwood, and then you had someone like Rashford who didn't quite hit the heights that we expected him to. So it was a bit of a testing time for us all. But nonetheless, just want to go over your final ranks, Zhou? Your final rank for last season?
I managed to hit my highest rank ever, 6,400.
Well done. Absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing.
Because I mean, I was buzzing, That it was a great feeling.
I can imagine. Speaking of game week, I mean season finishes. There's been this debate, not really a debate, but an issue that's popped up on the FPL community. I'm sure many of you have seen it. Your listeners out there, I'm sure you too as well. But just for everyone to justify my selection of you guys, can we get your overall rankings up on screen, please? I think Zhou, you've got your team up here. So if you could just navigate yourself to your team finishes that you have. If you go to your team details, I think it is, or game week history. Sorry.
Can I just share the other screen? Let me just check.
You can.
I have it up on the other screen. So yeah.
So certified game week finisher. We know you finished 6,000 but you've obviously had a lot of really good finishes prior to last season, haven't you, Zhou? So I think somehow along the way it's come up as it was an issue. I think a couple of days ago that popped up.
Exactly.
You guys saw it, and people need to know they're getting advice from the right people. I'll be a little bit ashamed to put mine up when it comes up when I rank it against you guys. But Zhou, you got yours, yeah? Let me just get it up there. Yeah, so as you can see, just talk us through the last maybe couple of seasons, if you could.
Okay. Actually, I joined the Twitter community on 2018, 2019, probably halfway there.
Yeah.
And ended that pretty well at 39K. The previous one, I'm at 680K. It's because somehow I lost interest halfway, and I was actually abroad studying in the UK. So somehow and somehow my friends stopped playing, so I also lost interest on that. But the seasons prior to that, I actually have no idea how my overall ranking was. It was just about the mini leagues, and obviously it was quite competitive. So I never realized that I got this type of overall rankings, because it was all about bragging rights among my mates.
Fair enough. I'm just going to go over to you quickly as well, Surya. I'm just going to add your team up here. If you...
Yeah, so mine is not something as great as Zhou's. So I've been playing consistently only for 4 years from 16-17. So in fact, 16-17 was one of the decent where I finished on 76K. And after that, it has been the 2 seasons I haven't really played that much of FPL due to some my course commitments. And last year, as Zhou said, last year midway was my first season on FPL Twitter. So 104K, something not great but decent. So this year is gonna be the breaking year. So I'm taking it up as a challenge. So let's see. I hit Zhou's rank this year definitely. So one thing's guaranteed over there. So I'm challenging Zhou for a top 5K finish this year definitely. Yeah.
I'm sure it's going to be a really interesting battle between the both of you. And it's great, because great to have you guys on as well, because obviously, Surya, you have your own website all about FPL, and Zhou is a constant contributor to the FPL community on his Twitter. So it's really great, and I'm sure both of you are going to spur each other on. Right, where did it go right and where did it go wrong for you guys last season? Let's go into it. Surya?
Okay. Yeah. So for me, I had a few changes with regards to my captain. So my approach of captaincy is that I shuffle around my captains very much. So I didn't have any 2-3 premium picks as my captain pick. So each week it's got to be my it will be completely my gut feeling, and I would go and put a Ings as a captain, and knowing that Sterling or Salah's gonna bang, I still end up with things for some reason. And in fact, the Antonio game week. So when I was writing to the website, so I had put Antonio as my first differential pick, but then I didn't bring him in my team.
You didn't bring him in.
So there are so many people thanking me for putting up Antonio. So I brought a bit. I was like,
and
okay, at least I helped someone get some points. So that was the approach. So after the season ended, I actually put my team through a couple of the websites, the tools website like Premier Fantasy Tools and LiveFPL.net, to see where I went wrong and where I did right. And my captain points were languishing around 380. That was a full 200 below what the top 10K had achieved. So that's what I realized. So my captain strategy was completely awful. So that's something is a great lesson for me. So one advice I would give for any one who's watching it now, so having 2-3 premium players and sticking around them for captain is the way to go forward. So if you had KDB and Salah as your captain picks and you kept rotating between them, there's a huge margin of points right there. So captain is somewhere I lost it completely, and the chips also didn't bring much favor for me. So I triple captained Salah against Aston Villa, and he couldn't get anything over there. So there is talks of Aston Villa being the worst defense and Liverpool being the best attack, and Aston Villa kept a low block that afternoon, and my day was spoiled. And the next game week, Salah comes up with a brace, and that's FPL. That's FPL, right, guys? So yeah, so captaincy is where that was a very key learning for me. So this season, if you ask me, I'm gonna put my captaincy only on premium picks. So I get guaranteed points. So the double-digit captain returns is what I'm looking at. So that's the way going forward. No more a Son captain with a red card or a Ings captain with a penalty miss. So that's not gonna happen. So it's gonna be just around the 12 mids or say premium strikers. That's the approach for me this season, pretty much. Yeah.
All right, straight over to you, Zhou. We all know you had that monster week and that amazing finish, but that surely was your right. Any regrets over the course of the season?
I think firstly, captaincy. I probably I can remember some weeks where I actually punt on a captain and it backfired really badly. I remember there was a game week where everyone was banking on Wilson.
Okay.
And I put my captaincy on him, and he blanked badly, and got backfired badly. Then after that, I also actually the Sterling captaincy. I've actually captained him probably about 6 to 7 times over the season, but he blanked so many times for me.
He did go through that patch where he didn't really perform and get any assists or goals, and then he came on stronger, later on. So he was very patchy throughout the season, wasn't
he? Yeah, because I've actually heard reports of him being much fitter after the restart. So and we actually saw it on the field, when he banged in goals for fun after the restart. But there was a patch, really dry patch, where somehow I just kept putting my captaincy on him, and he just kept blanking, and another low point of my season is I think I did one too many goalkeeper transfers. Yeah, I can, because I started with Pope, and I tell myself, Pope set and forget, set and forget. Then there was a time where suddenly Henderson, wow, he's suddenly like a FPL darling, and I hopped into Henderson. And somehow there was a time probably Sheffield United wasn't doing that well, and there was a double game week where Fabianski is fit again, and wow, Fabianski, he's tried and true. He's a great shot stopper. So I just transferred to him, and just before the double game week, if I'm not mistaken, he got injured. And I got to do my transfer again, and then I switched to McCarthy, and McCarthy wasn't too bad, but in the same time, Pope is coming back to form, he get clean sheets and things like that. And then after that, I think I love bonus points as well for Pope. Yeah, I had to stick with McCarthy for quite long, until probably after post lockdown, I think, and I was pretty stubborn. I said no. I'm not Team Pope. I'm not gonna get Pope. And then I sort of like dig up some stats and try to justify. Oh, I say, wow, Foster, not bad, Foster. I brought in Foster, and oh man, that was so crap. And then after that, I end up bringing back Pope at the last few game weeks. So yeah, I think I did probably 2 or 3 too many transfers on the goalkeepers. Yeah, definitely.
Well, it brings us nicely to the next part and the final part of our show that we're going to do. We're going to talk about the new season prices that just got revealed. What was it? About 2 weeks ago now. And I'm sure you guys have all had a tinker around with it. We waited for the fixtures after the prices got revealed. So yeah, the new season prices, the search for the new LUNDSTRUM. So we know how good John LUNDSTRUM served most of us for last season. I missed out on a massive point haul around the start of the season. I regretted that instantly. I had him on my bench a couple of times and missed out on massive points. I think he scored 2 goals that week.
21 points.
Yeah,
21 points.
21 points.
21 points on the bench.
And the worst thing about that, just to make it even worse, was that I had him first off my bench, and I remember City. I can't exactly remember who they were playing, but I had Otamendi starting, and he didn't start for City. But Pep Guardiola, being the Pep that he is, that screwing everyone over fantasy-wise, in the 89th minute decided to bring Otamendi off the bench, and they went by 21 points. I think I lost on that or something. It was crazy. Just couldn't ride it. He just ride it. But now with the new season, the prices have been released. Have you seen any new LUNDSTRUMs floating about in the goalkeeper section?
Yeah, so there isn't any out of position player as of now, but we'll probably get to know that only when the preseason begins, when we see who's playing out of position and stuff like that. But word is that so Dallas is someone who has played across position for Leeds United. So Eiling as well, he's played left back, centre back, all positions, and Dallas has played in midfield as well. So he has a very good chance of playing up the field. There are a couple of 4 million defenders from Crystal Palace who particularly look nailed to start. So that's one area where we have probably found up another Aaron Van Bissaka or probably another LUNDSTRUM in the coming season. So that guy goes with the name of Ferguson. So he's for Crystal Palace. He's played for Crystal Palace, and he's right away into my team. So my strategies of Trent and 4.5 mids and another 4.5 defenders and then a 4 defender. So he's occupying my 4 million defender slot. But of course, when we look into preseason fixtures and see, then only we'll be able to find another LUNDSTRUM who could be unearthed. So as of now, Spurs, Foyth had played right back a day before yesterday for Spurs, with rumors that Aurier is leaving for AC Milan. That's another 4.5 fullback in the ranks of Spurs, so another great option. So with the preseason fixtures coming thick and through, we'll be able to find out who's playing out of position and where they're playing and how much they're priced out. Yeah, so that's with James.
Yeah, I mean, I think Ferguson has been mentioned, especially on Twitter. You know, I think he must be the highest owned player on FPL right now, just because of his. Obviously, I think he's got a high chance of starting ahead of Ward, and his £4 million value on him. But Zhou, I just want to ask you. I mean, let's just go through the positions now, and with the goalkeepers, especially a couple of price changes here and there. We expected a few goalkeepers to increase and some even decrease. But have you seen any value in some of them?
I think just as you were mentioning about this, one particular goalkeeper came to my mind, which is Ramsdale. Because Sheffield United is such a disciplined and a tight team, you know. So the reason why Henderson did well last season, I mean, yes, credit to him. He's a great shot stopper, but I think probably bulk of his points, you know, as he gains as a goalkeeper, the clean sheets, it's not just him. It is the tight unit Sheffield United forms in their defense, and they seem to be able to grab or continue keeping those players like Egan just signed a new contract, and I think and actually Ramsdale, if you look at his stats last season, he is actually quite a good shot stopper. It is because Bournemouth as a defensive
very
unit,
exposed. They were very exposed.
They're quite poor, to be honest. But I think Ramsdale at 5 million actually is pretty decent. If provided Sheffield United can maintain their formula as what they did the past season.
Yeah, it's a big ask for Chris Wilder to have such a successful season as he did last season with Sheffield United. We're going to move on to the defenders now, and I know you mentioned Ferguson at Palace at 4 million, absolute value. Like I mentioned, I think he's going to be in a lot of teams at the start of the season. But has anyone else caught your eye in terms of value? I know you explained your strategy with Trent obviously occupying your marquee defender position.
Yeah.
And then you're going to have a couple of 4.5s, you said. Do you want to just talk us through that?
Yeah, so there have been so many. The previous season had dearth of options for 4.5, and this season we have a lot of players with who's been priced at 4.5. The entire of Leeds defense has been priced at 4.5. A couple of so Wolves defender Vinagre is 4.5 with Johnny being ruled out with a serious injury, so he was right into my team. So and Kyle Walker-Peters, so he's joins Saints in a permanent move, so he's again rated 4.5, a very great option. Tariq Lamptey for Brighton, so he had a very good consistent run towards the end of last season, so he's another great addition at 4.5. So this itself gives us 3-4 options right away, and then there's the never-ending debate of going Eiling or Dallas with respect to the Leeds fullback. So that's another very great 4.5 defender over that. So the need for a 5 or a 5.5 defender has quite reduced, I would say, this season. So that's why I stick to, I was telling a formation of 7.5 for Trent and 3 4.5s and a 4 is what I'm looking at to build my team across. So probably if I need some value, so I will be, if some 2-4 million defenders are playing, so I might switch to 2-4 and 2-4.5 and Trent. So that's what I'm looking at. So there's been a great amount of options, diverse options across defense in that 4.5 million category. So I'm sure Zhou will also agree with that. So that's my thought process for the defense, Craig.
Yeah, it's funny. I mean, a lot of injuries are forcing us to giving us a little bit of help actually in selecting. I think if your Johnny's was fit, it'd be harder to kind of pinpoint the right 4.5 defenders to fit in. I think a few injuries, but I mean, we look at Leicester especially. I mean, both fullbacks and them. Ricardo Pereira out, I think, until October. Then you look over to the left back position, and is Ben Chilwell going to stay there? Is he going to leave to Chelsea? Which, if you believe the rumors that are going around, he's going to sign in the next few days. So that kind of leaves a little bit of a hole there, doesn't it? And Thomas, in his place towards the end of last season, stepped up and performed pretty well. And he's on the cheap as well. So don't be surprised if you see a lot of Leicester fullbacks, 4.5 fullbacks, taking the places at the start, because they've got a decent fixture, haven't they?
They got a good fixtures, I would definitely agree. But why I'm not considering them right away is that 3 out of their 4 defenders who did good last season are not there. So since Johnny Evans is also not there, he's rumored to be injured out for the first 3 or 4 games at least. So that keeps only so-and-so at the position. So he's at 5.5, and I'm not going to pay 5.5 for a centre back Leicester. So that's kind of put me off from considering Justin or Thomas, but maybe a good run in preseason if they show their attacking capabilities. Who knows? They could come and slot in my team. But as of now, I'm little skeptical about going with their defense at the moment because of the injuries that they have. So
Okay, we'll move on to the midfielders, and I think this is where it gets juicy, doesn't it? I mean, the midfielders.
Exactly.
The midfielder section this season is just one of those where you're just tearing your hair out, trying to fit everyone. I don't think it helps with Man City and Man United not playing the first game week. And obviously, your KDBs, your Sterlings, your Rashford, who's now classified as a midfielder, your Bruno Fernandes. There's 4 big names that I've just mentioned that everyone would love to have in their team. But I mean, from a value point of view, I mean, it's impossible to fit everyone in this season. How are you boys going to do it? I'll start with you, Zhou.
Like I think I've just mentioned on Twitter, I think the 3-5-2 formation is going to be so popular this season.
Yeah.
Because the like what you mentioned, the midfields is just so packed with all the big names. Out of those names you mentioned, you left out Aubameyang.
Yeah. Oba, yeah.
Yeah, so it's so crazy. Like
I didn't even mention any of the Chelsea players either. I mean, you
yeah.
still got your Ziyech coming, Havertz if he
Havertz.
comes.
Yeah. So it's like, wow, it's going to be very interesting. That's for sure. And I think we are not. I hope we won't see a really template team right before the game week 1, because there's just so many options. And I think you mentioned most of them are the premium. I would consider the premium midfielders. But if you look somewhere probably lower, 7 or below, you can find so many options as well. Like especially, so current argument is the 5.5 millions, the Armstrong, Saint Maximin. There are huge argument there.
6.5. Yeah, Foden is at 6.5.
Sorry?
Foden is at 6.5 as well. Yeah.
Foden, yep. If I would probably think this would be his season.
Yeah,
because
exactly.
because like Bernardo Silva seems to be slowly falling out of favor. David Silva is not here.
He's gone.
Gundogan probably didn't feature much as well.
It's deeper, yeah.
But Foden really did very well since the restart, where he was given a chance and he really took those chances. And at 6.5 for a Man City defender and Man City midfielder, it's just unthinkable,
Exactly.
Value. The only thing about this, I mean, it's value, and I think if everyone looks at it, everyone's just going to be full Foden 6.5. Let's jump on that. It's an easy way into the City midfield. But then we look at the fixtures again, and we see City aren't playing in game week 1. I mean, how much of a blow is that? I mean, not so much a blow, but I mean, to kind of restructure your team after game week 1 to fit in all these Manchester club players. It's going to be one of those where it's got to play in your mind. Am I going to use my wild card after game week 1 just to kind of accommodate everyone in? And Surya, I mean, we spoke about Aubameyang as well. He's another big name player that's there. I forgot Pulisic as well. I didn't even mention it. He had a fantastic second half of the season. How's your midfield shaping up, putting all these guys in?
Yeah, so for me, it's okay. So I've brought in Aubameyang and Salah. So I'm not going to start my season without Salah. So that's pretty much case closed over that. So 2 players with 12 and 12, my 24 million goes off. 1/4 of my budget goes off in 2 players. But that's the price that you have to pay, right, to get a good players in FPL. So my strategy is that I'm going to use Aubameyang as a placeholder. So probably the first 2 weeks I'll be keeping with Aubameyang, and Arsenal's fixture slightly vary after game week 3. So game week 3 is when I'm going to look at bringing in KDB or Sterling based on their performances and putting in right away. And if things doesn't, so my strategy is that saving up transfers at the end of game week 1. So probably a mini wildcard at the -4, wherein I can move around my third midfielder slot by bringing in one of Rashford or Greenwood or Bruno based on who performs well in the first 2 weeks, and bring them in for a mini wildcard. So doing a wildcard right away at the game week 3 is not something that I'm looking at doing. So a lot of people do it to build value. So that is quite an argument about it on the FPL community as well. But the case being is that 2 transfers would be able to do justice, and there are a lot of players in the same price range that you can switch up. So say if you have 1 million in the bank, you can just do Werner to Aguero. Say if Aguero is fit, I'm going to be all over Aguero, so there's no doubt over that. So there are a lot of like price players around the midfield and the forward section as well, wherein we can rotate around pretty much easily. So for an instance, Ings is at 8.5, Jimenez is at 8.5. Suppose they miss out and Martial fires right away, so it's going to be an easy switch if you have money in the bank, and you can right away move from Ings or Jimenez to directly to Martial, who's at 9 million, or say. So that's my strategy. So I'm definitely going on with Auba as a placeholder for a premium City midfielder, and probably Salah if he backfires to another United midfielder. So that's my thought process. But it's FPL, it's dynamic. Anything can happen, an injury or whatever happens. It's so there's been a lot of talks about defensive rotations as well going on. I think Zhou can agree. Rotation never works after the season kicks off. So it's so dynamic. You think you rotate him this week, but that's never going to happen.
Yeah.
So yeah, so it's dynamic. So we go ahead with our game week 1 teams and enter the battlefield, and let's see what happens. So, but for now, this is the strategy of switching Aubameyang at the end of game week 2. Yeah.
Okay, I'm just going to ask both of you just one name, value pick for your midfield. I mean, we talked about the value picks for defense. Who's your value pick? I mean, you spoke about the 5.5 Zhou, but really need a value pick from you. Who would your value pick in midfield be?
Sorry, can you just repeat the question again?
Yeah. We spoke about the value that you have in defense. I mean, the 4.5 players, even the 4.0 defenders. But when we move into midfield, you briefly touched upon your still Armstrong's, your Saint-Maximin's at 5.5. But any value pick that's really caught your eye that you're going to include in your team?
I don't know why, but I keep going back to Matt Ritchie.
Yeah, Matt Ritchie. Yeah. I think he's 5 million, isn't he?
Sorry?
I think he's at 5 million, isn't he?
Yeah, he's at 5 million. He's at 5 million.
He's at 5 million, and I think probably last season he was sort of like going through some injuries and things like that, but I think post lockdown he did quite decent, but that was because he was classified as a defender. But I think even at 5 million as a midfielder, I think he still can give value if Steve Bruce continues to give him chances and he takes the set pieces, and some at 5 million is good value. And because he's at 5 million, you can just bench him if you want to, or if the fixtures are pretty bad. But you must remember, actually, Newcastle, there was a time last season they really depended on set pieces. They hardly score goals in open play, and they rely on free kicks, corner kicks, and then I remember there was a time where suddenly all their defenders start scoring headers, from free kicks.
I think it was Clark Fernandez,
Fernandez, Lascelles.
Big boys. Definitely big boys. Yeah.
So if Ritchie is the one that's going to take those kicks, I would expect to see some returns. Other than that, I've stumbled through a few tweets of like people comparing, like people hyped up Armstrong. I mean, I have to give credit to Armstrong. I watched him play a few times last season. There was a time I also saw him. Like this guy is really he loves to take shots, like long shots. Just outside the penalty box or even in the penalty box. But he has and most of his shots are actually pretty good, and they're on target. But I saw a tweet comparing him to actually James Ward-Prowse. Which actually he's slowly going under the radar. He's the one who is taking the free kicks.
Penalties as well.
Yeah, and with the departure of Højbjerg, I mean, who knows? You know, he could even do something. And actually, his his stats, underlying stats, are pretty good. He is actually better than Armstrong, but somehow he seems to be underperforming. But I think with Southampton's good opening fixtures, I think we probably would see him featuring quite a number of involvements as well.
Okay, and Surya, anyone caught your eye apart from the ones that Zhou has mentioned?
Yeah, so pretty much the 4.5 section has pretty much been done this season. There hasn't been no new outstanding Dendonker this season. So I've been going through a
This is
lot of
before the
tweets.
preseason fixtures.
Yeah, this is before the preseason fixtures. I'm pretty much open about accepting that. But so far, there's Romeo, who's now set to start regularly for Saints with the Hojenberg's departure to Spurs. But then he's won 4.5. So at least I need minutes from a 4.5 midfielder so that they can give me 3 points or something when they need races for them to come out of bench. So Saint Maxim is another great player who's done pretty extraordinary post the lockdown, and there's been head-to-head comparison of Saint Maxim and Armstrong, and there are a few areas that ASM is winning, and there is obviously Sosek's name, the West Ham midfielder's name being cropped up. He scored 3 goals, and he's a very tall defender with David Moyes' style of play. You could expect a lot of set pieces flying in. So he's kind of a lot of people are wary about the fixtures for West Ham, but a player who's capable of scoring headers doesn't need fixtures to guarantee you return. So set piece occur in any match, and there's chance that he can pull in a few headers against any team, be it City or United or Liverpool. So there's another 5 million midfielder out there for the fifth player spot. Another interesting player is Hakim Ziyech. So there's been too much hype about him in the community, and he sits in my latest draft. But then the word of caution is that I'm going to see him play. He's not played in 5 months since the Dutch league didn't resume after the lockdown, so he's a bit off the grid for football. So we'll have to see him where he plays, and it looks like Havertz is also coming through for Chelsea in the coming days. So we'll have to see how Werner, Ziyech, Havertz all gel up together. And again, Pulisic is also there, so it's going to be picking up which. Yeah, so it's gonna be like same of the Manchester United attackers of post lockdown. So we were all confused between Greenwood, Martial, Bruno Fernandes, Rashford. So I think the history is repeating itself over here. So Werner is also up front. So there's going to be a lot of options. So we'll have to wait and see how things go with Ziyech. But Ziyech is another player who I have seen him play a lot in Champions League. He's a very great player. So we'll have to wait and see. At 8 million, he could be the next Bruno Fernandes, definitely. So he's another great value pick. I have a pencil around. Let's see how preseason goes for him. Yeah.
Okay, that brings us nicely to our forward line. This is where you get the goals, and you know, a lot of we've spoken in it just now. You know, in the midfield section, you know, a couple of big names have moved from the forward line. They've moved back into the midfield. Aubameyang, Rashford, and now it gives us a little bit of a problem up front now. Anyone that's really caught your eye with their price point so far? No, I'll take that as a no. Go on, Joe. I see you thinking about it, so I'll go to Surya first.
Okay, so to me, Werner is very deliciously priced at 9.5 million. I've been going through a lot of his plays and lots of threads flying around with regards to him, how good of a gunman he's for Leipzig. So he's another great creator as well. So he's been amongst the top assists for in Bundesliga. So he's a complete package. So again, as I said, Chelsea is slowly bringing trouble to my FPL season. There's a lot of options up there. So Werner is, I think, very nicely priced at 9.5 million, and Mitrovic at 6 million is again a talisman for Fulham. So they do have some decent fixtures to begin with. So Mitrovic at 6 is another good option to consider. So Martial is at 9, repositioned as a striker. So I'm a little bit skeptical about it. So for some reason, since they've United miss out on game week 1, obviously. So that's one case. But Vardy is again very lowly spoken about at 10 million. Vardy is again very low spoken about in the community. So come on, he's the Golden Boot winner for last season, and you have to put some respect on him. So Vardy is another good pick. So we've still not have any details about Aguero returning from injury. So Aguero definitely puts a smile on Zhou's face. I know how big of a Aguero fan he is. So so that's one spot where it's like a lot of good options. So for me, currently I'm set up with Kane, Danny Ings, and Mitrovic as my friend 3. So Ings is a tailsman, Kane is a tailsman, and Mitrovic is again a tailsman. So I'm gonna see who does the bulk of scoring. So obviously Kane didn't play yesterday's friendly for Spurs. He's been isolated after vacation. So you know how much of a love story Mourinho has with the centre forward. So I really see Kane picking up and putting up a great season. So he did have a very strong finish towards the end of last season, and I see him carrying that. So Kane at 10.5. I think he's 10.5 or 10. I'm not sure about it. So, but he's another great value. 10.5. So he's another great value for me. So that's my theory of going with tailspin. But there's rumors that Rehan Brewster might be ending up in a Premier League club, and at 4.5 as a forward. So this gives me a glimpse of what happened last season at Greenwood. So who knows? He could start regularly, but him going to a PL club means the third striker is again seed. So FPL might get easy for a lot of managers. So a lot of them would be bringing in and putting it. So that's something that I don't want to happen. So I really wish he goes to another league so that we'll have some fun tinkering our teams out with. So that's the forward summary from me. Yeah. So to Zhou.
Yeah, that could Ryan Brewster pick at 4.5. That could be the new Mason Greenwood.
Exactly.
If he does move on from Liverpool for the season. But Zhou, just going on that, there's some. I think Surya did really well in covering literally every single forward we had in the league. But
sorry about that, Zhou. Yeah.
We know about the premium ones in Kane, Aguero, and everything, but around that 6 million mark. I mean, I know Mitrovic was mentioned. Anyone that's caught your eye? Che Adams did really well in the post-lockdown. I've seen his name being branded about a bit as well. Patrick Bamford, we know. Bielsa has a lot of faith in him at 5.5. Will Leeds bring in another striker? Actually, I'll save that one for James, who's a massive Leeds fan, who'll be on our show later this week. But any value strikers that you've seen that you might want to fit in?
I think mostly Surya has probably mentioned
Okay.
like my ideal setup is also Kane, Ings, and Mitrovic. If I could fit them in. But yeah, Che Adams. I actually, in terms of FPL points post lockdown, Che Adams actually had more points than Ings.
Yep.
But it was in the championship.
I think we have a little bit of technical difficulties there with Zhou, but we're just talking about Che Adams, Surya, and obviously Zhou just mentioned his numbers post lockdown. They were better than Danny Ings. Is he someone that we should be considering? Zhou, have we got you back?
We've got you back, I guess. Oh.
Have we? I'm not so sure. Zhou, are you there?
Yeah. So.
No, I think go ahead, Surya. Che Adams.
Yeah. So Che Adams
million.
is someone who's a full 2.5 million lesser than Danny Ings, and he showed glimpse of him coming back to form or like picking up form for the first time. So he scored his first goal against Man City, to the game wherein they actually defeated the two-time champions then. So that was a great fixture for him to score his first Premier League goal. And then he bagged a couple of assists and he scored once again as well. And looks like he'll be playing up top with Danny Ings and someone at the 2.5 million less price than Danny Ings. I think it could be a gamble of going him over Danny Ings, but I am very adamant with Danny Ings, so I think Zhou will be able to add to it. So yeah.
Yeah, you were saying about Che Adams, Joe, before we lost
Yeah,
you.
I like I said, I think this might be the season where Che Adams actually starts his account, but I probably can't see it so soon because Ings he played so well last season, and I think the manager knows that, and he wants Ings to continue like what he's doing. So I can see actually probably Southampton with their good fixtures at the start will probably play around that fact and probably just try to feed to Ings as many passes, as many balls as possible, because the way he plays last season, he can actually score against anyone from anywhere. So probably Adams, probably later in the season, but I would still bank on Ings doing bits, at the start of the season.
All right, and that kind of wraps us up for today. It's been great having both of you guys on and offering us your FPL insights, tips, and all the advice. If you guys aren't following these two right now, please do follow Surya on Twitter at allaboutfpl. You also run your own website, allaboutfpl.com. And
Exactly.
and Zhou, thank you as well. If you don't follow him on Twitter, he's very insightful, a lot of stats, and Zhou is one of the people that you turn to as well as Surya. So if you're not following him already on Twitter, it's Zhou FPL. Once again, thank you guys for being on our first ever FPL Expectations show. It's been a real pleasure having both of you on here. My name's Craig, and I'm going to be wrapping up for today. Don't forget to check out our next episode, which will be sometime this week, where we'll hopefully get another two expert pundits in that will be with us throughout the season in James and Selfie. But till then, until I see you later this week, over and out.